What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Sactown Sports Kings recap show. My name is Chris Watkins, joining you after the Sacramento Kings unfortunately blow another double-digit lead. This time, a 19-point loss, a 19-point lead they had, which they eventually blew to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was a back and forth fourth quarter. The Kings had a big lead at the end of halftime. And by the end of the third quarter, that thing was a 3-point game. It was a back and forth struggle in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, I kind of think we fell into some bad shots and some really untimely turnovers. And the worst part about it is pretty much the sixth seed is now pretty much a wrap. The Kings needed to, or would have done themselves a lot of favors if they would have swept the rest of this season. I think there's still a chance, but it would take pretty much the Pelicans and the Suns losing out the rest of this way. But there still is hope that the Kings can maybe get a 7 seed. Definitely more likely, I think the odds would be that they'll land in the 8 or the 9 slot. But they have two big games coming up on Thursday and Friday of this week against the New Orleans Pelicans on Thursday, and then the Phoenix Suns on Friday. This is an incredibly disappointing loss. The Kings needed this one desperately for the reasons I just laid out, but also, this is a good Oklahoma City team, and they really hadn't beaten, you could say the Clippers for sure, but they didn't have Kawhi Leonard when the Kings played them, but the Kings really hadn't beaten a very quality opponent without Malik or Kevin Huerter out there, and more specifically Malik, and it was looking so good. I mean, the 19-point lead. Let's talk about the good of this game first. That first half, absolutely incredible. I mean, the guards were amazing. I do think that a bit of this game was some of, way too much of live and die by the three. Obviously, the Kings took what Katie noted is probably a franchise high 58 three-pointers tonight. They took 50. I think everybody would say is too much, but that's kind of where this offense is at without Malik and Kevin. Is they need to take a lot of volume in order to really compete with high scoring opponents, and definitely way too many 3-pointers, especially at the end of that game. I think De'Aaron settled way too much from the perimeter. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, it looked great when it went down, as it has all season long. When the Kings knock down shots, it's when they lock in on the defensive end. OKC, that first half, shot, I think, 35% from the field. Everything was good. The Kings were knocking it down. The vibes were vibing. The shots were flowing. The ball was moving. And really, it was the guards. Keon, De'Aaron, and Davion were all incredible. Of course, specifically Keon. Him and De'Aaron both hit their first 4 threes of the game, but Keon hit a career high night, 26 points. He hit 8 threes. Both of those are career highs. And De'Aaron ended up making 7. I think ultimately, and we've talked about this before, like, De'Aaron's making the shots. That is really good. I mean, ultimately, you look at what he shoots tonight, 7 of 17. I can't do that math in my head. I guess that is still it's not terrible percentage wise if that were to be his season average, but I just think that's too many. He's not a 3-point shooter, and even though he is, a bit of that is making up for the production of guys who aren't there. I just think ultimately those shots are better distributed to some of the Kings' better shooters. Like in those last possessions there, I don't hate a 3-point shot in general, but I think that there's, Davion Mitchell's knocked down the 3 ball really well. He didn't really tonight, but we've seen him knock down the 3 really well. That's pretty much the only reason Keegan Murray's out there at this point, is to take that shot. I kind of just think Keon Ellis was out there. I just think there was better options, and De'Aaron Fox was playing a little bit too much hero ball. It's why the Kings were in that position in the first place, but I think it's kind of unfair to tell De'Aaron, you need to be super aggressive. You need to try and make up and be a superstar because Malik's not there, and then pick and choose. I think it is a really tough balance, but at the same time, I definitely think that De'Aaron settled way too much. Davion was great in that first half. Let's see here. What else do I have? Oh, that big charge that Davion took. I'm trying to keep it positive. I'm going to talk about the first half for a bit here because I do think this is a very, very bad situation here that the Kings have found themselves in losing this game. But there were a lot of positives to take from today. Ultimately, as this season is wrapping up. It's over this Sunday. 3 more games left on the schedule for the regular season, and who knows at this point how many this Kings team is going to have after. So not really a lot of point in talking about what things you can build on or take moving forward because there's just not much forward left. But at the same time, the fact the Kings were playing good defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that first quarter, or in that first half, really. Did limit him, did make his shots really tough. I think what ended up happening is in that second half, you just kind of saw the referees start to change how they officiated Shai. Shai definitely started to get a lot more whistles. I took note of it. He had 6 free throws at halftime. He had 5 free throw attempts just in that third quarter. So pretty much out of nowhere, the fouls pretty much doubled in terms of what they were giving Shai. And I think that really threw off everything. You saw De'Aaron get a tech at the end of the third quarter. I definitely feel like that was the biggest difference from the Kings defensively, because besides that, I thought they were really aggressive, really made sure a lot of the time that OKC was getting tough shots. I think eventually, again, when the shots stopped falling, you kind of saw the defense get a little bit lackadaisical. You saw also, what? We're going to get there. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I'm going to stick to the notes, stay positive, like I said. The Kings' first 50 points. 50 points. The distribution was Keon Ellis, 17. Davion Mitchell had 8. De'Aaron Fox had 19. Those 3 had combined for 44 of the team's first 50 points. The other 6 came from HB on a 3. Keegan hit a 2. And Domas had made 1 free throw. He was on his way to hitting 2 of 2, which, by the way, Domas was terrible from the free throw line tonight, as were the Kings kind of in total. But Domas specifically was really, really bad at the free throw line tonight. Keon Ellis was great in that first half. I'm just kind of going through the notes. Kings went on started the second quarter on a 20-8 run. And funny enough, after that, I saw Cameron Salerno tweet out that the Oklahoma City Thunder broadcast mentioned at that point, as the Kings had started the second quarter on a 20-8 run, I assume the context of this was trying to calm the viewing audience. OKC's broadcast noted that the Sacramento Kings have blown 13, now 14, double-digit leads this season. So definitely a bit telling that OKC's broadcast kind of saw this coming as the Kings were in the middle of their best run of the game, arguably. OKC definitely, or at least their broadcast team, had done their work, done their research, and knew that it's very possible that this team is going to collapse, especially in that third quarter, which is what eventually happened. And this is really kind of where things started to go bad. Keegan hit back-to-back triples to bring the lead back to 19. That was with a minute left. Keon then hit a 3 at the close of the halftime, again, to push the lead to 20. It eventually finished at 19. Halftime thoughts I had jotted down. Kings making it hard on Shai. Guards were playing phenomenal. It was a quiet first half offensively from Sabonis. And also, Will Z stats here, great number, which is actually really funny because I'll say after I say the stat. Davion Mitchell at the rim this season, 75%, which is really good. But since the All-Star break, 95% for Davion Mitchell at the rim. And that was the big thing that he did in the first half, was he had that one specifically where the ball swung around or De'Aaron found him, and Davion just ran right at the rim. And I'm pretty sure he blew by Josh Giddey and then finished over Chet Holmgren. Of course, the irony and the thing I was going to say earlier was Davion got his shot sent by Chet Holmgren in that fourth quarter. He tried to kind of do like a Kareem skyhook, and Chet sent it. So definitely thought that was ironic. At the rim, decisive, and whatever he's gonna do, just do it. Whether it's pull, whether it's drive, whatever he's doing, he kind of just knows what he's gonna do before he even gets the ball. He lives and dies by it, but I think in the best way possible. And you saw that one possession where the Kings had, I think, 4 shots in one possession. They got multiple offensive rebounds. Davion missed all 3 of them, but he did not hesitate even a little bit on a single one of them. He just pulled. And again, he missed them all. But I like to see that he was just like, you know what? Like, HB got pulled earlier because he didn't shoot on a wide open 3. He swung it over to Keegan in the corner. He did his little driving kick, which drives me crazy, where they just drive with no actual intention of taking the lay-in. He just wanted to touch the paint because that's what Mike Brown has instructed, and then kick it out. HB passed up on the shot. Davion did not. I think that was definitely really noticeable in this game for sure. And now let's get into the gross, nasty collapse that this ended up being. Third quarter, OKC came out hot. They hit 3 early triples to cut the lead from 19 to 10. Things started to snowball, got the lead back to 8. The Kings then called a timeout. I noted, can the Kings stop the bleeding? De'Aaron Fox also got 25th straight game with a steal. Definitely impressive there. But I noted, can the Kings stop the bleeding? As Mike Brown called the timeout, and the answer was no. And the thing that I noted here too is it wasn't, because the thing that we're naturally going to ask is, all right, that third quarter happened again. What was it? Did they come out lackadaisical? Like, is Mike Brown not making adjustments? What is it? And I thought it was really important that they got wide open looks. Keon Ellis had a wide open 3. He had plenty of time, missed it. HB had a wide open look, had time, dribbled it, missed it. Sabonis had a driving layup that I think actually is how HB got his open look. I'm pretty sure Sabonis drove, missed a layup, got his own offensive rebound because he missed it so bad. He just caught it in rhythm and then kicked it out to HB, and he missed an open look. So my answer to when I think I saw Alan in the chat earlier. Yeah, this fool. So when Alan asked me tomorrow, hey, third quarter, we've seen this team blow third quarter lead. What happened? I don't think it's really a universal catch-all answer. I think that every third quarter, I'm sure some of them are because they came out lackadaisical. I don't think that's what the case was today. I think the case was they just missed open looks, and it was a tale of 2 halves, where in the first half, everything went down. Keon knocked down everything. De'Aaron was knocking down everything. People were hitting their open looks. But in the second half, for whatever reason, and it's why basketball's so cruel, it's why, the regression to the mean and the law of averages, or whatever you want to say, is such a real thing in basketball and in baseball too, to an extent, is just you make a ton, and odds are you're probably going to miss a couple in a row because stuff is almost caught me there. It's all going to balance out at some point. So I really do think this is a case of the Kings. I think all of their points in the first quarter came from beyond the arc or at the free throw line. You can't live like that. If you're going to make a ton of threes, you're probably going to go through a cold stretch at some point in the game. So I kind of think it was just as simple as, I guess not as simple, but as frustrating, I should say, as the Kings just missed wide open opportunities. They got really good looks. They just didn't fall. And you could say that's personnel. You can say that's coming out lackadaisical and not ready to go. You can pin whatever you want to that. But I think the reality is they had wide open looks. They got the looks they wanted to get. They got stops to an extent, but they just missed their shots. And again, things start to snowball, and you just can't stop it. And then, lead cut to 2. And that's when things started to shift. The lead got cut to 2. Mike Brown calls a timeout, pulls HB for that moment that I acknowledged earlier, where he had an open look and kicked it to Keegan in the corner. They pull HB and Sabonis. Kings then immediately go on a 9-0 run in a minute, get the lead back up to 11 with 4:23 in the quarter. And that's when things got interesting. And that's when, like I said earlier, things kind of started to shift. That's in terms of the foul calls on SGA. That's when De'Aaron, you saw him start to really jab at the ref. He got super upset. I noticed, I think it was an offensive foul on Alex Len that they called. De'Aaron got really, really upset, and on the way back, they're like kind of just following De'Aaron, and he's like, "That's a flop. That's a flop." And so he just kind of started jawing back and forth with the ref. And I've said it on these live streams before. De'Aaron really doesn't talk much to players; like he's not really a trash talker. But the thing that gets him riled up more than anything is officiating, and like saying if a player tells him, "Why are you complaining? I didn't foul you." That's when he'll talk to a player. But, just in general, officiating really, really bothers him. And that's like the one thing that, we get angry Fox. That's how it happens is by him feeling like things start to not go in his favor, officiating wise. And that's kind of when it started. SGA got a foul call where, he's driving, and I think he kind of caught De'Aaron. I don't know if he caught him in the cookie jar or what it was, but De'Aaron was not happy with it. Felt like it was super normal contact, or at least that he was getting the same amount of contact on the other end. And by the way, mind you, as Shea is getting 5 free throw attempts in that third quarter, De'Aaron's sitting with 0. He's sitting with 0 free throw attempts through 3 quarters. So he's getting really upset. He drove down the lane and absolutely bulldozed somebody to the rim the next possession after getting mad at that official. It really was OKC getting to the line a ton to close out the quarter, and the Kings missing, again, just wide open looks. So that's really how the lead ended up getting cut to 3 by the end of the third. And then the fourth quarter was kind of a battle. It honestly was. It was a big back and forth. The officiating woes kind of continued. OKC got the lead. Kings get it back. OKC gets the lead back a minute later. Fox gets to the line for the first time at 7:58. And then I noted what ended up happening. Domantas Sabonis had his double-double streak in jeopardy, and ultimately it did fall. Another casualty of the game tonight, besides the Kings' chances at locking down an actual playoff spot, is also the fact that Domantas Sabonis's double-double streak now comes to an end. Unfortunately, I think it's at 61 games in a row, which is absolutely insane. I can't imagine that record will ever be broken in terms of Sacramento Kings history, for sure. Maybe it gets broken by Wemby or something like that in terms of NBA history, but definitely a really, really special streak for Sabonis that unfortunately comes to an end. De'Aaron tied the game with 6:20 with a very, very big 3, followed by a big Keon Ellis 3. De'Aaron had 7 threes on the night. Keon had 8. And then ultimately, I do think this game comes down. I hate to be I'm going to complain about the officials taking the game and last 2-minute report guy, but facts are facts. I agree with Mark Jones. I agree with Mike Brown. I saw complaining pretty severely there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with a minute to go, is completely locked up by Davion Mitchell. I mean, Davion plays picture-perfect defense, stays in front of Shai. Even though Shai is 6'6", Davion's maybe 6'1". He sticks in front of Shai. Shai can't get any space on him. Davion's totally legally in his grill. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander traveled. Just a fact. He traveled. He picked up his pivot foot. And I think he did it twice, actually. I think he kind of slipped, picked it up, and then as he's doing an offensive foul where he clearly leans into Davion, clears space, the referees don't call it in a what we were talking the other night about how the referees being very inconsistent about. Oh, it was when I think it was an Orlando game when De'Aaron got pushed into the backcourt. We were talking about, or I should say I'd like to say we, because as I'm just talking to nobody here, it makes me feel comfortable to say we. So as we were talking about that night, It felt like a moment where if it goes in, you don't call it, and if it doesn't go in, then they're gonna call it. But it was inverted. I don't know. It felt it was not the right call. I just don't believe it was the right call, or I should say a no call. That is, I clearly think Shea at the very least leaned into Davion to create space. And then I say all that to say all the way earlier also that I think they were expecting Shea to lean into Davion, just throw up a shot, not actually thinking he was going to make it, and then Shea actually hit a miraculous jumper. I think the refs were expecting him to miss, and Shea made it, and they didn't really have any way of rewarding Davion, and that's what's so frustrating about them waiting to make calls instead of just calling it as they see it happen. But yeah, I definitely think that was a foul and a travel on that last possession, or on that possession with a minute left, and I think that gave OKC a 4-point lead or a 2-point lead. And who knows what ultimately ends up happening. If things go different there, maybe the Kings still end up losing. De'Aaron Fox definitely didn't do the teams many favors with his shots in the last minute there. Those were pretty much prayers. I didn't love Mark Jones's commentary of saying like, "Hey, De'Aaron's played 42 minutes and that's why he aired it." If anything, I would say he played 42 minutes. Probably shouldn't be just chucking up that shot. He should probably again give it to somebody who's a little bit more fresh. And it is you definitely are a big reason, or the reason why they're so close in this game even still. But I think you got to put a little bit of more faith in your teammates, or at the very least try and get another shot, like swing the ball around. I understand if that's 8 seconds left on the shot clock and y'all tried to get a good shot on that possession, and that's just the best that you're going to get. But it really just felt like they settled, or specifically De'Aaron settled in that moment. And, whatever, I get it. Maybe you say live and die with Fox in that moment. De'Aaron's always going to have the ball in his hands in that moment. But I just kind of feel like you could have gotten a better look. Ultimately, that's pretty much your season. And again, you could argue season on the line, you kind of want it in the hands of your best player, but ultimately I feel pretty comfortable, and I would imagine that everybody in this chat here would agree. I would much rather at least see what else could have been available besides Fox settling for that. So that is my 22-minute thought dump on what we just saw. I will now go through the chat, and I will stop talking with myself and start seeing what you guys have to say. Definitely same old Kings for sure. Definitely the same old Kings. They'll never change, man. Like, it will forever be Kangs, and it's also I'm very confident in saying that it's not going to change, because Kings, unfortunately, or I guess maybe fortunately in this case, aren't the only team that does this. So, I'm not trying to say that as a band-aid to the Kings at all, but I more mean like it's only getting worse. Let's see. Yes, Kings can stay in the 8th seed. We do need to root right now. I know Phoenix and New Orleans are playing right now, and the Lakers and the Warriors are playing. The Clippers are up big on Phoenix. Oh, that hurts. Okay. So it looks like, as things stand right now, it looks like the Warriors are up 15 on the Lakers. Phoenix is up 34 on the Suns. The Clippers are up 34 on the Suns. And right now the Blazers are up on the Pelicans. So it would be very unfortunate if the Pelicans and Suns lose tonight and the Kings had an opportunity to win. That means the Kings would have been the 6th seed. No, they would have been the 7th seed behind New Orleans. But I think the Kings might have been the 6th seed. But they would have had a much better opportunity of having the 6th seed if they would have won tonight, especially with those two losses, or presumptive losses, I should say. That is very, very unfortunate. Hate to see that. But yeah, they can still stay in the 8th seed today if the Lakers lose, which they are on pace to do. Here we go. Yeah, here's one of many. As I'm still at the beginning of the comments here, Fox forced that three at the end. He could have created a much better shot for himself and or the team. Also, that turnover from Keon. Oh my gosh, yeah, Keon had a couple turnovers today that were really really bad. And that's just I think that is part of him just not really having a lot of experience with this team and in the NBA in general. Those are unfortunately growing pains, but yeah, there was a lot of really bad turnovers. Even Fox had one where him and Domas had a miscommunication, and he just kind of threw it straight to Isaiah Joe. Sabonis had a ton of turnovers tonight. I think he finished with 5 or 6 turnovers. It was really, really sloppy, and that's been a problem for them all season long. 6 turnovers. Dion had 5 turnovers. Or I'm sorry, Keon had 5 turnovers. That's way too many for Keon Ellis, and De'Aaron had 2 actually. So shout out De'Aaron. But yeah, that's way too many. 5 is crazy for Keon. Yeah, free throws. I don't even know what did we finish from the free throw line. 73%. Kings back at it. Oh man, I think they weren't even. I think they had climbed out of last. Let me check here real quick. Oh, no. They're still a full percentage behind 29th. Never mind. Yeah. That's usual. That's literally average. The Kings shot 73.1% from the line. On the season, they shoot 74.2. So, honestly, unfortunately, that's just what it is. That is literally what it is. And you know what? If anything, that's what's wrong with this team. Is you could argue that's just the biggest difference. Is the fact that they're not hitting free throws, and you could argue that you hit 2, 3 more free throws a game throughout the duration of the season. Who knows how many more results go in your favor? It could be as simple as that. It really could. Like you could argue, and you can definitely argue that it's as simple as that on a night like tonight. Kings make, let's see here. They miss 7 free throws. Lose by 7. Look at that. Funny how that works sometimes. Yeah, and 58 threes. I forgot to mention 58 three-point attempts. They shot 34%, which I guess isn't terrible, but 58 is way too much. That's definitely just quick check here, quick math. Pretty sure that's most of the season, guaranteed. Yeah, 51 most of this season. Let's see, last year. Real quick here. Last year, where the Kings were, let's remember now, the best offense in NBA history, 52. So definitely the most threes of the Mike Brown era. 58 in a loss. Yep. That's a lot of people agreeing for. I mean, not that it's some galaxy take, but yeah, definitely felt like those were just forced at the end of that game. That Ellis kid, he sure couldn't miss. That Ellis kid is something else, man. He is something else. That's like, this is again something where. Yeah, I guess I was going to pull an example. During the football season, me and Alan would have these things where after Niner games, we would talk about these throws that Brock Purdy would have where they were called hater breakers, but that doesn't really quite fit this. But I was more so trying to prove the point that Keon Ellis keeps having these games where we just have to readjust what we think he is. Like, people continue to leave him open. People continue to go under on screens for him. He keeps knocking down threes. He was 8 of 15 tonight, I think, from 3. 8 of 15 tonight from 3 for Keon. 26 points, career high. He's had a couple of these games now. It hasn't been consistent, but it's been enough to where it feels like, especially this being his first like real taste of NBA action, it's just like kind of crazy that he's able to step up this big in a game this big on the road. He must really love playing against OKC. This is now he started. Maybe that's what it is. He has confidence against this team, at least in terms of the scouting report, because he started a game like the 9th game of the season against OKC. So it could just be something as simple as that. But Keon, Like I don't know what to do about these performances that he's had. A couple of these now where 4 or 5 tonight, 8 threes, and then still doing it on the defensive end too. Like that's the thing is it's not one or the other. Tonight he's 2 steals, 2 blocks. Again, the 5 turnovers we definitely need to have a conversation about. But yeah. Do you think Chet's length bothered Sabonis? I didn't catch the game, all the game. That's a good question. Chet did block Sabonis early in the game. There's a chance that maybe that threw him off. I don't ultimately think so. I think the foul trouble didn't help. Sabonis was in foul trouble pretty much from the start of the game, and I think that kind of prevented him from being as physical as what he would want with Chet. He even got an offensive foul trying to clear him out. So I kind of don't think it was that. I would blame it more on the foul trouble. But Chet's length is definitely not a problem. More so if he continues to stay on the ground. We've seen this year. If you're pretty much willing to stand your ground with Sabonis, which is a lot easier said than done, you could definitely bother him. He doesn't really respond well if you're not biting for his pumps, if you're not biting for his up and unders. If you just kind of stay planted and stay in front of him and stay vertical, that really bothers him. The problem is, with Chet, it's you can stay vertical all you want. He puts it in your chest and you're going flying. So I think it helps when Sabonis is in foul trouble for Chet to be able to stick on him. But ultimately, might have helped him tonight. But if we're projecting that matchup long term, I feel like Sabonis, at least for this season, until Chet, maybe in a year or two, kind of gets his weight up a bit, if he ever does, even, I kind of think that's going to be advantage Sabonis. Yeah, I mean they're killing it. They are absolutely destroying them right now. I will definitely keep tabs on that game. It is 66-30 at Clippers. Westbrook has damn near a triple double at halftime. He has 9 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists at halftime. He got the start today for James Harden. It's like Russ's first start since January or something like that. It might even be earlier than that. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Helps soften the blow from this one. If the Kings can stay, here's the thing: if the Pelicans and the Suns lose, and all things are considered equal after tonight, that is huge for the Kings. They will remain 1 game back. They will play New Orleans on Thursday. Win against New Orleans ties the Kings with the Pelicans. The Pelicans would still have the advantage there, but then the Kings would play Phoenix on Friday, which could leapfrog the Kings over Phoenix in the standings. And then it kind of depends on what the Pelicans do at the end of the season. But that gives the Kings a really good shot at getting the 6 and 7 seed if the Pelicans and the Suns lose today. Pelicans are down 3 to the Blazers at halftime. We'll see how that goes. We literally different from half to half. Pelicans have all their guys going with the exception of Brandon Ingram, so I would expect that game to change probably in the second half. Looking at it here, DeAndre Ayton's 10 of 12 from the field. Probably won't continue to do that, so definitely monitor those games as the night goes on. Ooh, look at this from TKS Express. Our last 5 possessions. Let's break it down. Keegan casting with some time running out. Fox casting a rushed 3 gave up offensive rebound on missed free throw. Fox casting a 3 and 5 turnover by Keon. Yeah, that's not ideal. That's definitely not ideal. Small ball that didn't work. Well, no, I think it worked pretty well. I mean, it worked well. I don't remember him going small. I remember him putting Len out there for Sabonis in that second half in the third quarter. Yeah. I thought Alex Len played great today, and too. Wasn't I shouldn't say great. Played really good. He mainly his taps. Like he's really mastered that back tap on the offensive rebound, where he just slaps it to the backcourt, and there's usually a lot of second chance opportunities that he creates off that. Yeah, we've had this problem before where in really big games, Sabonis doesn't get a ton of shots up. I think that's kind of like a hindsight. I don't want to say hindsight 2020 take, but I think that this game didn't take shots. I think the guards definitely had it going tonight. That was well established that Keon, De'Aaron, and Davion, who did get cold in that second half, and looking at his final numbers. Trey didn't have it tonight. HB was 1 of 8. Keegan was 5 of 16. Sabonis 2 of 7 with foul trouble. I just ultimately didn't feel like Sabonis. It was a Sabonis kind of night. I mean, maybe they could have tried, but I just don't think Sabonis post ups are the most efficient look. And with how those guys were shooting, I think you just got to kind of ride that wave. Let's see here. Let's see. Why are we launching? Yeah, everyone is really upset about them launching threes, which I definitely get. I completely agree. Just way too many threes. Oh, I didn't see that. No, I just didn't see it. I don't know. Look back at when that was, but I actually don't think it's a bad idea to go small against AC. Um, I think in general, they don't run very big. Chet's pretty much their only big. They have Jalen Williams, the J Will. Um, so you don't really have to worry about getting out rebounded or anything like that. But I mean, yeah, if it didn't go well, it didn't go well. I just seriously didn't notice. Coach Brown. Okay, cool. So quotes are coming in. Coach Brown loved our first half. Blamed second half turnovers and lack of confidence passing up shots. That's interesting. I think that's a pointed message. I don't know if he's talking to everybody there. That feels like he's specifically trying to say, HB shoot the ball because yeah, confidence is well, and that's interesting if he used the term confidence too. Just because I don't know if that message is then like HB's not believing in himself. He doesn't think he's like a contributor, someone who can contribute like that to this team. Here's the quote here. I'll actually play Mike Brown audio here. Let's get this set up here. This is on NBC Sports. Let me properly credit them and everything. We will share the screen. Here is Mike Brown on today's effort. And I can't hear it. I'm sure you guys can, though. Great. I can't hear any of it, so. Oh, there we go. And now I can hear it.
It's hard when you have a formula of success to go away from it. And then a couple of guys missed some shots, and we had wide open shots, and we just turned them down. Turned them down and started driving into defense. And it's the basketball guys will make you pay if you turn down a wide open shot in the NBA. And it's
interesting. I don't think you guys can hear this. Hold on.
And I don't care if we make or miss shots. We just played the right way. And then
okay, so here is Coach Mike Brown.
Our ball movement was beautiful. And I thought we got bored with it in the second half. We touched the paint and took some tough shots, got our shot blocked a couple of times, even after our offensive rebounds. And, it's hard when you have a formula of success to go away from it. And then a couple of guys missed some shots, and we had wide open shots, and we just turned them down. turned them down and started driving into defense. And it's the basketball gods will make you pay if you turn down a wide open shot in the NBA. And it's just tough to see how beautiful we played in the first half. And I don't care if we make or miss shots, we just played the right way. And then in the second half, we tighten up and we try to do too much on our own, or we pass up open shots. To me, that was really, really one of it was probably one of the most biggest difference in the ball game. I thought.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there you have it from Mike Brown there. Wow, that's interesting. Airborne, I was literally just about to say this. I'm at the point now where, this team can't really afford to blow many more games. First off, there's not many more to blow, but these games coming down the stretch here, I know it's just really, really brash, and it's probably honestly a little emotional too, but I just feel like I would much rather see Kessler Edwards get time. I would much rather see, I know Trey had a really bad game tonight, but how he's played since he's came back from injury, I would much rather see HB play or get minutes. I just don't really know what HB, I mean, tonight, I honestly, I shouldn't go too far in, because I do think tonight he did a great job of specifically, obviously he was not hitting shots. He was 1 of 8, I believe he finished tonight. 1 of 8, and 0 of 4 from 3. But the big thing, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. That's something that he has not done all year long, and it's been really frustrating because he did it so well last year. He would get to the free throw line. He was a really calming presence to this team that played such a high tempo. It felt like every time teams would go on these big runs like OKC went on today, HB was the guy that would calm everything down, get to the free throw line, slow the game down, slow the pace down, get a stop, and it just hasn't been there this year. He did a great job tonight. He got to the line 10 times when nobody else could get to the line. So I definitely want to credit him for that. And he definitely brought that tonight, absolutely. But I wanted more. I just wanted a little bit more. And it wasn't, he didn't hit his shots. It's really not much you can do about it. But I just think ultimately moving forward, past this 3 games, I just think that's going to be a spot where the Kings are going to have to look to improve, because it can't be just De'Aaron Fox. And even when Malik was out there, it just feels like this team needs somebody else who can kind of take control and run pick and rolls, or maybe create their own shot. And it would be really huge for this team if it can come from the forward position. I know Keegan talked about it recently, but I just don't see playmaking in his future. I don't think he's just a natural playmaker. I think it would be really nice if the Kings could, next to Keegan, get a guy who could create his own shot, could create shots for others, can get to the rim, really do what forwards are small forwards, the best ones in this league, all can do is be a Swiss Army knife. And unfortunately, as my co-host Alan Stiles has coined, HB this season, or not even really this season, for a bit now, has been a bit of a dull Swiss Army knife. So definitely will be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds moving forward. Also, again, I kind of just think this is all stemming from, I think Mike Brown's comments were very, very pointed. I just think that him talking about not having the confidence to shoot, to me, that specifically was talking about HB in that moment. It definitely wasn't talking about Davion. Definitely wasn't talking about De'Aaron Fox. Definitely was not talking about Keon Ellis. Even Keegan had the 3rd most shot attempts tonight. He took 10 threes. Maybe he's talking about Domas as well. Domas only finished with 7, which is actually less than HB. So as much shtick as I'm giving HB, maybe I should give Sabonis more of the same. Maybe that's what it's talking about. But I don't really think that that's exactly what he was referring to. Street Cody, this is a fantastic question that I didn't even consider, because in my mind, he's been hurt for so long. This didn't cross my mind once. Sasha Vezenkov tonight, DMP. I guess it's also been a couple games where Sasha's gotten a DMP. Haven't really even thought about him, but no, I think he didn't get a DMP the other night. I could be tripping, but let me check that real quick. Yeah, really interesting. I guess you could argue the shots were going in the first half, and that's really the moments you're going to look to Sasha the most. Colby, yeah, no, Sasha did not get. He played 2 minutes in that Brooklyn win, so you can maybe say that he kind of got benched starting last game. We just didn't notice, but yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. I don't know what his role with the team is now. Yeah, you can maybe argue the game didn't call for him, but HB at the same time, what if you combine HB and Trey Lyles, who I'm also keeping real quiet on Trey's bad night tonight, but I'm gonna let it slide because he's had a couple here, a couple good games. Trey and HB, so two of your forwards tonight were combined 2 of 15 and 1 of 9 from three. 2 of 15 from the field, 1 of 9 from 3 point. So you could definitely, easily, I could say, make the argument. Maybe you give Sasha like 5 minutes in there and see if he can hit a couple threes. As your offense was kind of stagnating, I guess maybe the inverse of that is the OKC was on a run, and I don't know if you're trying to stop the bleeding, if your first thought is, ooh, let's go with Sasha. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of a push and pull, but I think the question is very valid and very fair. I don't think anybody really knows. I think, again, as there's only 3 games left in the season, I think that we just kind of know what the answer is at this point, is that he didn't really have a role with this team this year. All right, let's do 3 stars in the night and then get it out of here. I'm shocked I've been on for 50 minutes, but that is what you should do when your season or your playoff aspirations pretty much die. And let's get into it here. I'm going to do my first star of the night. I honestly thought I was going to give it to Davion Mitchell. I don't know if anyone really deserves that first star. Keegan, Davion had a good first half. Maybe I could. I don't know. Can I do nobody? I think I'm gonna do nobody for my 1 star. I'll give it to Davion. I'll give it to Davion for his good first half. I think he scored all of his points in that first half. 8 points. Let me see here. And Davion had 8 points in the second quarter. So yeah, no, Davion did not score in the second half at all. I don't think he scored at all like halfway through the second quarter on. So I'm really giving Davion a star for having a good quarter, and I think that's very telling of how everyone else's performance was tonight. I'm going to give 2 stars. I went back and forth on this. I think I'm ultimately going to give my 2 stars to De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron did play great. He had a ton of threes, ton of tough threes tonight, but and he was given no favors by not going to the line until the fourth quarter. You think he finished with 2 trips to the line. He was 2 of 4, so maybe instead of complaining, you should make your free throws. But nonetheless, I think, excuse me. Yeah, I think De'Aaron played great. I definitely think if he gets a couple fouls to go in his favor, it looks like an even better night. Absolutely. He probably gets to 40 if he gets a couple calls to go his direction, or at least the same whistle that Shea got tonight. I love to see the fire out of De'Aaron. I love to see the angry Fox. I think the steal streak is absolutely fantastic. I think he finished with 2 steals tonight. He did finish with 2 steals tonight as well, so he did it on both ends. Yeah, and I think ultimately those shots at the end of the game, I understand it. I don't love it. I don't think Mike Brown's gonna love it, but spiritually, like that's just kind of how the game is played. You live and die by your best players, and it doesn't necessarily have to be them taking that shot, but you ultimately live with the ball in your best players' hands, and whatever they decide to do with the ball. Is always how your seasons are going to come down to. So that's what the case is here. It might not feel good. I definitely don't agree with what De'Aaron decided to do with those possessions, but ultimately he got them there in the first place, and he definitely, you can't forget all that he did during the game just because he had a really bad minute. So 2 stars for De'Aaron Fox. And ultimately, that's probably the reason he's not getting 3 stars from me. Not that that's some big demerit on him, but I'm going to give 3 stars to Keon Ellis, who I think should have had an opportunity to hit a big shot in the game, even though he did go pretty cold from the perimeter in the second half. I think that's kind of natural, like I talked about earlier, just with how absolutely on fire he was in the first half. Of course, he wasn't going to continue that for the whole game. He finished 2 blocks, 2 steals, 26 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, and 8 threes, which is a career high for Keon. Just incredible, man. Like, it has been really, really cool to see what he's done here the second half of the season, or last third of the season, whatever you want to call it. I think that, again, like, you have to think about where the ceiling is for this guy offensively. It's really, really awesome that the Kings just have a guy like this at a very, very cheap cost the next couple years. He's going to be a huge asset to this team. I don't know if he's going to start moving forward, especially if Malik Monk, decides to re-up with this team. But I do know that Keon Ellis is going to be a major, major player no matter what his starting or bench role is going to be. He's going to be a guy who's getting 20 minutes a night and heavily impacting things, much like you see Lou Dort on OKC tonight. To me, he was the big key for them. They needed somebody else to step up, and it just took a couple threes from Lou Dort, and that's really all Shea needed to take it the rest of the way. I think Keon Ellis can be a guy that wins the Kings a couple games next year, and he's the kind of guy who can keep you in some playoff games. So I love to see the development from Keon Ellis on the offensive end. And that's going to wrap it up. Only got a couple more of these. This is the last one from the Road Studio. So it's been, whoa, I don't know where this thing came from, but that's actually really scary. I have no idea where that came from. So yeah, it's been a really fun season on the road. I'm glad I finally got a nice little streaming setup here, and I hope you guys like it as well. I'm sure I'll have some new and improved set by the time you guys see me again here. We will be back at Golden One Center on Thursday, and then again on Friday, and then for the final time on Sunday. At least in the regular season, there will be post-game live streams as well in the playoffs or in the play-in at this point. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Appreciate you all for hopping in here. Tons of people joined today. Definitely appreciate you all each and every time. You can check me out tomorrow on Styles and Watkins for further conversation about tonight's game and a bunch of other fun, wacky, Laney, zany antics that will go on. I am going to call it a night. I will see y'all later. Peace.